Hello, my name is Cindy Johnson. I'm your instructor for HIT220-221 for the spring 2017 semester. I wanted to go through the syllabus so you understand different parts of the class and how you might best be successful. The structure of the course is here in detail to let you know how it's laid out. I also have it bolded here that a grade of 0 is given if there is no attempt by the student to find a code. The only way you're going to learn to code is to use the code book. So I expect you to be able to show a path for how you're getting an answer. There are 2 books required. The first I refer to as your textbook, and that is the Coding Handbook. It is published by the American Hospital Association. I chose the one with answers because that way you can check yourself. And you also notice that PCS is included in this book. We will not cover ICD-10 PCS in this class. At ACC, we teach PCS coding in HIT231. And as you get more into these courses, you'll see why they've been split. They are really 2 different things, using 2 different code books, 2 different structures, and it's best to have them in 2 different classes. We also require that you have the ICD-10 CM codebook, and I recommend the expert version. I like the illustrations and the explanations that are given in this codebook, and I think they are most helpful for a student who is learning to code. Other materials that you might find helpful that are not required, but I think you'll be glad you had one, are the medical dictionary and/or an anatomy and physiology textbook. You could always search Google or any search engine to look up specific medical terms, and we'll talk more about that going forward. But these are optional, but recommended. Then I have the learning objectives or learning outcomes for this course listed here in the syllabus. And in this table, I have written the various competencies that we're required to teach you as part of our accreditation, as well as the exercises where that competency is covered. I have to speak a bit about learner expectations. Many of you voiced wanting to become a coder when you entered the program. Well, now the truth will be known if you really like coding. It is a 5-credit course. It does require a minimum of 15 to 20 hours per week. I say that because I think it always surprises students how long it takes to do their homework. And I have to remind them, you're basically learning a foreign language. I make that analogy throughout this course. It will take a significant amount of time for you to learn this. The best I can do is give you the foundations. If you decide you want to be a professional coder, it will be up to you to continue to grow in this field, but I can promise you I will give you the foundations to do so. I then talk at some length about the CCS coding credential, which is a specialty credential those professionals obtain after they have a little more experience. I speak to professionalism, how important that is to me, that you present yourself as a professional in the way you express yourself on a discussion board or in emails to me. And here's where I make that analogy to the foreign language and note that it can be very frustrating. Please make an appointment with me before you get to the point that you're so frustrated. It's most helpful if we can address any misunderstandings or things you just don't quite get about learning to code before we get to the mid-semester. So let's tackle this early on and figure out what we need to do to make you be successful. This course grading range here is the same as it is for any HIT course, and I have here the way the activities and exercises exams break out in the course, and you can see the exams are a little more heavily weighted than the homework, but the homework is significantly weighted. For the spring semester, the last day to drop and get a refund is February 1st, 2017, and the last day to withdraw and receive a W on your transcript instead of an F, for example, is April 11th, 2017. Exercises range from 25 to 50 points each. I do often use an answer key, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Here's another statement just reminding you again that the Coding Handbook has exercises in ICD-10 CM and ICD-10 PCS, and we only do CM in this course. CM stands for clinical modifications, but what it really is a diagnosis coding. You will hear reference to the coding guidelines frequently. I bring that to your attention because in your homework you will have to cite which guidelines you're using to help you make a decision. And answer keys are provided once you submit your ungraded homework. An answer key is made available to you on the content page. You grade your homework, then you submit your graded homework, and then once I have received both the ungraded and the graded documents, you get the full point value. So it behooves you to try to find these codes, because if I don't see any effort to find a code, it's a 0. Answer keys are going to be showing you having either a dash or normally a comma. This is how those indentations would be indicated. If you were looking, for example, here in the alphabetic index, you can see the way there's a malformation as a main term, adrenal gland, aorta, that's along the same indentation level, and then the next indentation level in is patent ductus arteriosus and this code. The way we show these indentations in the answer key are by either dashes or more commonly commas. And your answer key would look like this. Here you would have a diagnostic statement, the correct code, and the pathway or rationale for how you got there. What's listed here is just the pathway. The rationale is like a coding guideline, an instructional note, those types of things that help you make a decision. Here's an example of a diagnostic statement screening for HIV infection, and here's the code that was assigned and the coding guideline that I chose to go with that diagnosis. I'll make another point here about academic integrity, to think before you submit. Do not submit something that you've not attempted to find an answer, and do not submit anything just to get the answer key to release so that you can then have the correct answers. I've been teaching a long time, so I will figure that out. So be sure that you show me an honest effort. You're not penalized for wrong answers. If you show me an honest effort to find a code and then you miss that and you show me on your graded document what the correct pathway should be, you get full points for the exercise. I go through that in some detail here. And notice that it's not good enough to be within a few characters. So let's say out of a 6-character code you have 5 characters right. The answer is still wrong. You have to have all 6 characters right for the code to be correct. Discussion board is used in this course as a way for you to ask a question. For example, say you can't find a code and you have to tell me how you attempted to find the code. Let's say you're doing one of the coding exercises in the coding handbook and you show me how you attempted to find it. Then my way of looking at that, I can tell where you went wrong, and then I will put in the answer in the discussion board the correct pathway. That way everybody learns from that teachable moment. I do accept homework up to 1 week past the due date, but there's a 2-point deduction for each day an assignment is late. There's a syllabus quiz that you must take when you finish reviewing the syllabus. Exams are open book, so you have access to the official coding guidelines as well as the code. And I only mention the incomplete grade option here for those who are unable to finish the coursework. I want to notice that you must have a C or better and have in 80% of the required coursework. You've almost finished it, in other words. And you've provided evidence that you are unable to continue in the course, and that would make you eligible for an incomplete. Taking an incomplete is something that you don't do without really thinking about, can I finish this coursework? Can I, in the next semester, finish everything that needs to be done to get a final grade? And I make the note here, in order to be fair, students who repeat a coding course may be given a different exam than your classmates, so that there's no unfair advantage to someone who's already seen the exam. I think that's the main thing. Everything here is things that you would normally think of in a syllabus. If you have any questions, please give me a call or post them in discussion board, and I will be glad to work with you. And I hope you have a very successful semester.